This is Saudi Arabia, the richest country with nearly a quarter of the world's oil reserves. Since its inception, it has been ruled by the Saudi family. Saudi Arabia was named in honor of the ruling dynasty, Al Saud. The Al Saud family is one of the most powerful and richest families in the world. The image of the king is everywhere, on buildings, fences, in magazines, and, of course, on money. The power of the monarch in Saudi Arabia is absolute. In fact, it is limited only by Sharia law, and the laws in this country are very harsh. Executions are still being carried out in Saudi Arabia, and these executions are public. In fact, anyone can come and watch them. It all happens on this square called Dira, and it's where people are decapitated on Fridays. This is a feature that the square has, which is very rare for a country that has no rain. It's the water drain. Most sentences that lead prisoners to this square are for terrorism, drugs, and murder-related charges. But according to the law, this list also includes blasphemy, atheism, apostasy, and, you won't believe this, witchcraft. Because of such laws, Harry Potter books and films were banned for quite some time, as well as Pokemon and the dab dance. Saudi Arabia is a very religious country, where Sharia law must be followed strictly, serving as the only legal system to the citizens. Moreover, you won't find alcohol even on planes that fly to Saudi Arabia. Until recently, women had to wear long dresses and cover their head and legs. They were also banned from work in most places and couldn't leave the house without a husband or his trustee, be it his father or a brother. Rules of behavior in public places were strictly monitored by the special Sharia forces called Mutawa, part of the Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and the Prevention of Vice. It's the official name. Mutawins could essentially send you directly to court for not following the Sharia conduct. Cinemas and concerts of foreign stars were banned, and schools didn't teach music at all. In order to teach your son or daughter to play piano, you'd have to look for a tutor, which is next to impossible. But let's not forget that it is still one of the main Muslim countries in the world, which you get constantly reminded of, even when you get picked up in an Uber.
5-minute salah.
Salah, it's...
Maghrib. I'm stopping here.
Oh, okay.
No problem?
Yeah, no problem.
I thought he wanted to get some fuel since we stopped at a gas station, but it turns out we stopped to pray, as it's just about time for an evening prayer. Prayers happen 5 times a day, causing life in Saudi Arabia to pause for a bit. Wanted to grab a bite to eat, but the shop is closed for prayer. There are even designated signs for when the prayer time begins.
Pray time is when everything shuts down, and you can get locked inside a shop for 40 minutes. Or outside if you haven't entered it yet.
You mean shopping malls, right?
Everywhere.
In order for you to grasp the scale of these pauses, this is a typical congested mall packed with people who stroll around or chill in cafes. Prayer time starts in 10 minutes, so let's see how this place changes. Shops get closed at the first notes of the muezzin's voice, which also includes food courts and all other shops that this very large mall is comprised of. Here's the mall prior to prayer time and during it. Complete lockdown. I've heard that the new laws will ease the strain on the shops, but for now, everyone obeys the existing rules. As a result, all commercial life pauses 4 times a day, and prayer time even exists on planes en route to Saudi Arabia, where a special travel prayer is aired right after pre-flight instructions. Saudi Arabia is the cradle of Islam. In fact, it is so geared towards it that no other religious buildings are allowed here. This means no Buddhist temples, no synagogues, no churches, no nothing, per the governing laws. As for Muslims, on the other hand, the infrastructure is immense. There are lots of places to pray, and parks and promenades are equipped with carpets for people to pray on that can be quickly rolled back in. One of the main bans within the country is on alcohol. But unlike the UAE, which is also a Muslim country and allows alcohol to be sold in all places that are linked to tourism, like hotels, for example, Saudi Arabia does not allow exceptions. It is safe to say that alcohol is non-existent here. Restaurants serve mocktails, which are cocktails but without any alcohol in them. The best seller, though, is the non-alcoholic flavored beer that is sold everywhere and represented by all major beer brewing companies. Another thing you should know about Saudi Arabia is that it is booming with youth, and 60% of its population are people under 30 years old. They live without alcohol, nightclubs, and all other Western perks. I wonder how they relax here.
Yeah, we don't drink alcohol. Yeah, we drink coffee, we smoke hookah, that stuff.
And that's it.
Yeah, and we take a walk. If the place is beautiful, we take a walk, you know?
But-
we go to the malls.
But there is no nightclubs here.
No nightclubs. Not nightlife,
Yeah,
nothing.
nothing.
No.
You don't feel sad about it.
No, we don't feel sad because we are in a Muslim country, so it's our culture, so we are good with it, you know?
Don't be fooled by thinking that these guys are not aware of life across the border.
Studied in United States.
Studied in USA.
Well, I was a student in America.
Thanks to the King's special program, most Saudis have studied abroad, and I've even met people who have PhDs from US and British universities. This makes the locals very educated because they haven't just been abroad, they actually live there. Hence, Western values aren't new to them. It's generally not great for the economy when people spend their hard-earned cash abroad, and that's why there's been a number of major changes recently. Let's start with cinemas. They were banned here for the past 40 years, and people literally had to travel to Bahrain for a film. Luckily, it changed in 2018 when the ban got lifted. And 8 cinemas reopened in Riyadh alone, which has now made going to the cinema a very popular recreation. As for the music ban in public places that had people strolling through the malls in total silence and didn't allow concerts of foreign stars, well, this law also got canceled. Today, Riyadh stages host many events. I visited one of them. A video about this is also on my channel. There's even a music school being built now. Furthermore, many restaurants in Saudi Arabia have 2 separate halls and entrances, one for families and one for males. For example, here's a McDonald's with a hall separated by a wooden partition. This law has also been canceled, and it's now solely dependent on the restaurant itself as to how to arrange its halls. These guys still have it split, but many others are already adapting to the new order. The most significant changes, though, are related to women, and it's comparable to a revolution. Only a couple of years ago, a woman was not allowed to exit the country without a permit from her husband or guardian. Women couldn't file for divorce or apply for specific hospital treatment. Nowadays, though, a woman can independently apply for a passport and travel abroad without anyone's permission. Women can also file for divorce, marriage, and a childbirth. Sports also used to be a no-go for women, being considered a threat to the weaker sex, but now, voila, fitness clubs only for women, where men are not allowed. And although religious conservatives still have an uneasy attitude toward female fitness, more and more women have started exercising. And in 2012, SA sent its first female athletes to the Olympic Games. From the treadmill, let's transfer to the local stadium. Women used to also be banned from football games, and some of them, the most diehard fans I'd assume, had to dress like men to see their favorite teams play, only to be covered shortly after. Today, though, this is part of the positive revolution, and women are welcome to come to the stadiums. They have to stay within special family areas, but still, it's a triumph for them nonetheless, and they can freely enter and support their favorite football club. The aforementioned changes also affected the dress code. Women in Saudi Arabia traditionally wear a hijab, an abaya, which is the traditional dress with sleeves, and a niqab that covers your face but leaves the eyes open. This is what most women wear in public places, and if you're wondering how to eat wearing a niqab, the answer is simple. You just raise it and eat. The original laws used to state that an abaya was required even for foreigners who visited the country, but that's now canceled. Furthermore, women are not allowed to work in many industries. For example, 10 years ago, women couldn't work in sales, or even in lingerie shops. It was men who worked as shop assistants, which of course raised a lot of criticism from women. But that's now changed, and women are allowed to work in retail, as guides, and even at the airports, which became the latest addition to the list. Honestly, if you stop thinking about the religious side of things, women here are exactly the same as in any other country in the world. I think one of the main conclusions that I came to is that people across the world are different, but also very, very similar. We all want the same things. Women want to look good and wear nice clothes, and even though they wear abayas, they put makeup on and wear cool shoes, which is the same thing European and American women do. To conclude these thoughts on the treatment of women, let me just outline the fact that since 2018, women in Saudi Arabia are officially allowed to drive. And to honor this fact, I met up with the wonderful At, who is a yoga teacher and a new entrant to the car world. Women who aren't allowed to drive isn't a thing anymore in Saudi Arabia, but 2 years ago, life was totally different.
Yeah, and I didn't believe it for the first few moments. I was like, no maybe they're talking about it.
This was a very long-awaited law, and women were absolutely ecstatic once it got approved.
I get very, thrilled every time I see a woman driving. So if someone tried to pass my car and I was like, hey, stop that. If she's a woman, I was like, okay, it's fine. Go ahead.
Are you driving good?
Yeah. A little bit dangerous, but no accidents, so I'm good. I'm a good driver. يعني to Saudi standards.
At brought me to her favorite place on the outskirts of Riyadh, where she usually comes to relax with friends. She's quite a progressive individual, I must say, wearing a military-style patched abaya, which is still within traditions, but different at the same time. That's really cool. As for recreation, while we do picnics in parks or by a river, Saudi Arabia is different. There are no parks or forests in this part of the country. Instead, locals flee to the desert. And in our case, barbecue was substituted by Arabic coffee, which is prepared with cardamom, giving it a different color and a slightly altered taste compared to standard coffee. All in all, it was a great and heartfelt evening spent in company of At and her friends. Most importantly, though, it became apparent that the local youth does just fine without alcohol in nightclubs, spending their time in a chill and civilized manner.